Good evening, guys. We have another consent from a creator called Hank. If you haven't followed her, you can follow her, but let's hear the story.
I'm not here to tell you why social media is bad and why social media is the devil. You already know that it's not good for you, otherwise you wouldn't have clicked on this video. You already have some idea of why you might want to stop. So
Right off the bat, we see it. Um, she needs support. She holding her best friend, I should say. So it's a hard story to tell for her. And let's respect that because it is hard. It is hard to tell people what happened and how you felt and how life has been going. Um, this video is posted 1 month ago, so I assume she is within the 1 year mark as well.
so I'm going to tell you why I quit, and maybe if you need to be bullied or encouraged into deleting yours, then maybe I can help you with that. But I'll start off with my story. When I was in high school, I remember, I've had these apps like Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok are the ones I'm going to be talking about in this video. I never had Twitter, so I don't know, but Twitter's probably addictive as well. But when I was in high school, I remember being constantly on these apps. I had Snapchat streaks, like 100 different people that I would Snapchat every single day. There's no way you can be friends with 100 people. That is ridiculous. You only
Well, it is possible, according to a study, to have 150 friends as a human capacity, which follows up to 10,000 connections. But for many of us, we don't even hit the 40, 50 mark after college.
need like 3 friends. Maybe a group of friends would be nice, but 100 people, there's no way I was close with 100 people. There was no reason for me to be doing that. It's a waste of time. Um, I was on Instagram and I would edit my photos. I would Facetune them, even though I was like 16 years old. I wanted to be an Instagram model, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking. But I would literally take like 30 minutes every single time me and my friends would go somewhere. I would spend a ridiculous amount of time trying to take the photo and make myself look perfect. And just make myself look like something that I wasn't, obviously. You should never have to take that long to take a photo if it's just for your friends. If you are an Instagram model and you make money off of it, that's a whole other story. I'm sure it's still bad for you, but like at least you're doing something. At least you get value out of it. I wasn't getting shit from this.
So for women, it is of course way and way worse when it comes to comparison bias. And there is not many, according from what I know, like I'm not a woman, but what I've heard, many of them cannot be top notch every day with the makeup and all those kinds of stuff. It's a lot of work and it looks like you're doing it for yourself every day, but there are rare exceptions that some people do that every day out of habit and of the likes. But if you are this kinds of person that has days like, oh, I am not feeling it to put it on, then you probably are not that person that should do that.
What, my friends from high school thought I was hotter? I didn't even look like that in real life. So I don't know why I did all that, but I just wanted to be liked, I guess. But it got to the point where I was using these Snapchat filters and editing my Instagram photos and just being constantly consuming other people's content and constantly looking at Instagram models and whoever and wanting to be like them so bad that I was changing the way I looked on my phone to be. It got to the point where I was like two different people. Like I didn't even look like the person I was on my phone. And so when I would look in the mirror, I didn't like the way I looked. Obviously, why would I? I mean, I had this more perfect version of myself to look at on my phone. So, um yeah, I was obviously quite insecure if I was doing all that, and it just increased my insecurity more and more and more the more I did it. I wasn't comfortable in my own body, in my own skin, in my real self. And so, in college, I mean, this problem persisted for a long time, but in college, then I started going on TikTok when it came out. And TikTok is probably the most addicting because of its algorithm. So I was super addicted to that and super addicted to everything still. And I remember looking at my screen time one day and adding everything up, and I was spending 30 hours a week on these apps, and I wasn't even getting anything out of it.
That is a lot. That is almost a full-time job. And if anyone is hearing this and you're also spending a ridiculous amount and like you actually see that on your screen time, hopefully that will wake you up, because that's the shocking factor. That is a foundational reason to, panic, I should say. Panic that you should do about it. Very interesting.
I wasn't making money, I wasn't learning anything, I was just looking at shit. Um, back in the day, back when I was in high school, I might have argued that I was learning about politics. That was a whole nother problem. That I would get so wrapped up in the news and all the negative shit that was going on in the world. I live in America, so especially here, there's just such a perceived, this like fake thing that's going on where you think that everything's bad and you can get sucked into the cycle of thinking the world is horrible, a horrible, horrible place. And that's obviously not a good outlook to have on life. Very pessimistic. And I was constantly thinking, like, oh, if I learn about all this stuff, if I learn about all the politics, then and then I post on my Instagram story about it, well, I'm helping. So then I had this illusion of, oh, I'm helping people, but I'm really fucking not.
Great point. And this is what happens. There's a lot of limited beliefs, a lot of fake news, a lot of statements that are just incorrect. And when you watch those kinds of content creators, you cannot help yourself to either become insecure about it or taking over their opinion, and suddenly you are justifying for it while it's not even your own opinion, which is a very dangerous position to be in. Um, these biases will always prey upon you on not of course on social media and also on the news. Um, yeah, this is really bad. So I'm curious how she will solve this problem. I have high expectations because the way she's talking about it, and like it's really honest. It's like I feel shit and I want to let you know that I feel shit about it. Like those kinds of stuff. Like someone is actually having a conversation with you, like, hey, this is what happens. It's like talking to her best friend, her best friend under her arm.
the only way to help people here is to have money or I guess be a politician. But even when you're a politician, I don't think you're being very helpful. But you can't really influence politics unless you have money. I didn't have money. I was in high school. Obviously, I wasn't doing anything. I had no business. So it was like a fake thing for my ego, I guess. But yeah, so in college, I saw that my screen time was excessively high, like almost a full time job worth of being on my phone, realized I was wasting my fucking time. And then one day, I mean, I kept thinking this and of course didn't delete it because I'm scared and have all these limiting beliefs of why I can't delete it. But one day, my friend, I met a girl who had deleted her social media, and she was a pretty girl from my high school, and so I would never expect her to do that. But she did, and she told me just delete it from Monday to Monday. 7 days, 1 week. If you can't do 1 week, you obviously have a problem, right? So
So here we have the second reason. The second reason is she found a hero to look up to, an example, and that's great. That gives you a head start. She might not even got out of it, not using it. I'm not saying that you would never, but it won't take way longer if you didn't meet that girl. So, fate, I guess.
I did. I was like, okay, you know what? I went on Snapchat. I got all the contacts of people who I didn't have their numbers and shit. And I got everyone. I made sure that no matter what, I wouldn't need to go back on the app for anything, for any real reason. So I deleted them. Was completely fine. I mean, it was hard, of course. I'm so used to using this all day long. So obviously it was hard, but I did it. Next Monday came around. I was like, you know what? I don't need to get this back. I'm okay without this. I survived the week. Nothing bad happened. And if I continue this, I'll have more free time. I'll have more time to do things that actually matter. And so I did. I deleted it. I, of course, I just deleted the apps from my home screen. I didn't delete the actual accounts.
So that is the difference between quitting and detox. Detox is when you still have an option to install it or use it. And when you commit to it, then it's actually quitting. So commit to it is deleting and withdrawing for 30 days. So it's actually, your account is actually wiped. But she says it's quitting social media, so let's see what happens.
That I had. So, of course, I like relapsed and would go and be like, oh, well, what if somebody Snapchatted me and what if they think I blocked them?
Um, there's nothing wrong with relapsing. Just gonna tell you off the bat, it's part of the journey for most of the people. It's again very rare for people to go cold turkey. So don't feel ashamed if you are the same. And also talking to you, Hank, um, it is okay. You know, if you're gonna look at my statements, I've been on and off. I've met two, and I reacted to one video. So that's the third person that I heard that went cold turkey, but that's pretty much it.
Oh, I feel so bad. So I would go look at my Instagram DMs and open my Snapchat again, and I would relapse every once in a while. But then like 3 months, 3 to 6 months went by. I mean, not feeling the need really to check them all the time anymore. And one day I actually just deleted it all. Like I deleted the actual account. I mean, I think Snapchat went first. Well, TikTok went first because I didn't even post on TikTok anyways. But TikTok went first, and then Snapchat. Snapchat was scary, but I did it.
So everyone has her or his kryptonite. And for me, it was Instagram. For her, it was Snapchat.
But it's scary because you have the memories and you're like, oh no, I need all these photos. No, you don't. Who cares? It's not that serious. Like, how often do you really go back and look at those photos? And if you're thinking about the past all the time, that's another sign that you're not living in the present and not feeling happy and present in the present moment. I mean, it's obviously good to have photos, but like the photos you really liked, you would have saved to your camera roll anyways. Or maybe you already have the thing turned on that your memory is saved to your camera roll and this isn't even a problem for you, but whatever. I deleted all of it. I was like, fuck it, I don't need those photos. And deleted it all, and then I think I kept my Instagram, but you can deactivate your Instagram account so it's not actually deleted, but it takes it off. Like no one else can go see it, but it's still there if you want it. It's kind of interesting. You can temporarily deactivate your Instagram account. I think I still have it temporarily deactivated. But whatever.
So I have one for you, Hank, if you're listening to this. If you're gonna activate it and you want to delete it, it's gonna block you. Sounds surprising? I hope not. You will get a notification and it will tell you that you cannot deactivate nor delete your account for a certain amount of time. They won't even mention the time. The time is, I think, a week. And hopefully that is a reality check. Like even when you are a month in or even longer now. Hopefully that is a reality check. Like they want to keep you hooked no matter what. And what should you do in this case? Well, you're going to open your calendar and you're going to write a week from now that you're going to delete Instagram. And 7 days later, you will see that notification pop up, or you see this in your calendar. You log into Instagram, you're going to delete it, and then you're going to put another thing on your notification saying Instagram permanently deleted, which is a month later, and then you have something to celebrate. Because now you still have an option, and when you have the option, even though it will go well for like 6 months, a year, maybe even 2 years, it just takes one deep low month to get back. Because again, it's a strong habit from your teens.
It's not on Instagram anymore, so I deleted it all, and I've never felt the need to go back. The only time I felt the need is when my friends get asked on dates in their Instagram DMs. I was like, oh no, like now I don't have any boys to talk to. Again, who gives a fuck? I can meet boys in real life. I realized it after a minute. I was just being crazy. The boys you meet in your Instagram DMs aren't that high quality anyways, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. They're probably not that high quality. So I got over that quickly. I can meet boys in real life and figure it out from there. Men, hopefully. But anyways, yeah, I went through relapses, but here we are. Completely fine. I feel connected with the universe still and with what's going on in the world. If something's that important, I'll find out about it because I go to work and I have friends that I talk to. I go to the gym and I talk to people. Just talk to people in your real life and they'll tell you what's going on in the world if it's that important that you need to know. Like if there's some fucking war or some shit, I don't know. If it's that important, it'll get to you. You don't need social media to figure it out, and you don't need to watch the news to figure this shit out. You'll know if something's seriously wrong in your vicinity. And if it's not something you can control or need to know about, then you don't need to know. Anyways, when you delete it, if you do decide to delete it, you have to replace that time with something or you'll just go right back to it. I mean, it's an OCD like behavior. Like, you have the obsession of thinking about it, thinking about checking your phone, and then the compulsion is the act of picking up the phone and looking and scrolling. And you know it's an OCD like behavior because after you scroll, you still have the obsession, the thought to keep scrolling, even though it's been fulfilled. Like, theoretically, it should be satisfied, but it's not because you're addicted. And you have this OCD like behavior where you can't stop. It's your obsession's not being fulfilled by that.
Great. So she figured that after a while you're gonna be bored, maybe even lonely. Some people are gonna feel very lonely, and that really depends on your social circle. But that's great. See that she's talking about it. This means that for me, that will be 3 months in, because after that you're going to be really bored. Um, Curious how she manages with that.
Action. And so it creates this addiction. Another way I can explain it is the dopamine cycle. You have a baseline level of dopamine that you're either born with or it's also created by your actions, nature and nurture. But you have a baseline level of dopamine, and every time you do something that satisfies you or like something that brings you pleasure, like checking your phone, it spikes up. It peaks. And then after a few minutes, depending on the activity, it can change the amount of time it takes to go back down. But regardless, if it's social media, it's probably going to take anywhere from 30 seconds to a few minutes. So it'll peak and then it'll go back down, and it will go below baseline, and there will be a trough. And when it comes back up, every time you do this, every time you do something that brings you pleasure, the baseline drops lower and lower and lower. So over time, you have this lowering of your baseline level of dopamine.
Now, I don't necessarily believe in dopamine and dopamine detox effects. What I do believe is a phenomenon that is actually being proven is that is called the roller coaster effect, which is one of the cognitive biases that many scroll like media have. So to explain it, like you're 5 years old, one picture makes you sad, one picture makes you happy, one picture shocks you. So these wave of emotions that you go through is called the roller coaster effect. But that's not necessarily this is in a context of social media, but non-contextual. It can also mean something else, but you can look it up, the roller coaster effect. But great stuff, Hank. Let's continue.
Dopamine is associated with motivation and drive to do something. So overall, your general mood and happiness is reduced, and the constant obsession to check your phone is what also creates anxiety. I mean, it's just this like constant feeling of anxiousness when you just constantly want to be checking your phone because you're so addicted to it. I digress. You have to replace it with something. You can't just like have a habit and then completely get rid of the habit without replacing something. You have to. So I chose to replace my social media use with journaling, reading books. You can still use your phone and you can still use apps and such, but use the ones that actually bring you value. So YouTube long form content, videos where they're sitting down and talking and there's no editing, kind of like I'm doing right now. Listening to podcasts. I like listening to scientific podcasts like Andrew Huberman. Preferably ones that aren't entertainment, but if you need to start out with entertainment, like Joe Rogan or just anything, there's a new podcast that I've been listening to called Open House. It's kind of relationship, like therapy advice. Sounds really good. There's a ton of good podcasts out there. If it needs to be entertainment, it's better than being addicted to the apps or to the social media. So if you have to replace it with that, that's great. But you can also replace it with educational podcasts, videos, whatever. Audible. You can use Audible to listen to audiobooks.
So boredom, when boredom comes, you should test hypothesis, which is a term I made up, but it basically means you should experience and try a lot of things to fill the void. She is journaling, she's reading books, she's listening to podcasts. I will give another example, uh, not because of you, Hank, but for my audience. Let me just give the example. Let's assume sports. Back in the day when you were in high school, you had gym class or PA, depending on where you live, and you maybe tried 10 sports, max 15 sports, but a lot of sports in the world. So you should try maybe in a specific genre. So let's assume you like dancing. Well, there are a lot of dancing moves, dancing classes you could try. And you could try salsa, you could try hip hop, you could try popping. I don't know, there are many kinds of uh, dance classes out there. And what I'm trying to tell you is that just try them, test them, contemplate on it. Don't necessarily commit to them, just try them, and if you like it, you continue. If you don't like it, at least you tried it and you then move on with something else. And maybe you will find something that will stick. And also, there's another benefactor. You will meet people over there that are in the same boat. They're just trying things, and you actually have a conversation opener, which is you don't have social media, and that's why you came to class. So you have a mysterious effect on people, and maybe you will make some friends because of that. So exciting stuff. But Hank has three different kinds of hobbies, so she will fill the void of boredom. So that has been solved.
There's also audiobooks on YouTube that are free. And just anything that's long and more natural, not edited and having all these filters and such. And very short, so your attention span is being programmed to be short, like so short. Like a TikTok can be like 10 seconds long, 3 seconds long, 30 seconds long. Like that's not. You're task switching so often that you're losing the ability to focus. I just feel so much better without these apps, without the social media, and I just feel like I've learned so fucking much in the past year, 2 years, or whatever it was from listening to these long form content. I'm still addicted to my phone, I'll be honest. I'm still addicted to texting my friends, FaceTiming my friends, but at least I'm forming real connections. I'm having real friendships with.
I want to touch base on that a bit. In one of my videos, I talk about instant gratification in the context of social media. So, instant gratification could also be texting apps. But I'm not going to touch base on phone addiction because that's different. That one is pretty hard to conquer, and that is outside of the scope right now. But yeah, I'm really happy that she's spending time on these ones instead of those apps.
with people who actually care about me. And everyone in my life now, nobody's fake. Nobody's gonna do me dirty anymore. I have trust. I trust all my friends at the bare minimum. A lot more than I used to. So my whole life has really changed, not just one aspect. I've just learned so much more and I've wasted a lot less time. So I hope you can delete your social media. If you can't, at least start producing. Start giving value to other people on these apps if you really don't want to delete them. You don't have to. I mean, they're still good in the apps. You still can get value from TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat.
For my audience, if you are this person that actually want to create content, then I highly encourage you, well, I even advocate to let it managed by someone else so you don't have the opportunity to check, you only create. Even when you are a small creator, you can let your mom manage it, maybe your aunt, maybe your dad, that supports you. So, um, yeah, this is my advice because you are not stronger than the apps because there's a lot of cognitive biases preying upon you, and that's how also influencers, even when they make money, are still hooked to the app.
Whatever, Twitter. Just gotta learn to avoid meaningless content. Start producing as much and giving as much value to people as you can. Produce more than you consume, and that can help a lot if you can't delete them or don't want to for whatever reason. But also look out for your limiting beliefs like, oh, I can't delete Snapchat because all my friends are on there and that's how they talk. It's like, why can't you text them? You don't have you have a phone. Why can't you text them? I don't understand that. Why can't you call them and speak to them with your voice? Like, why do you have to send a Snapchat picture of your forehead? Like, nobody gives a fuck. It's honestly so conceited that I thought that anyone cared about my outfit that day. Like, I'm not a fucking model. I'm not a fashion icon. Like, if I wanted to be, I could, but I wasn't. So who cares about my goddamn outfit? Nobody gives a fuck. You're wasting your time. Like, go read a book. Come on. Are you serious? Do something. Learn something. Read a book, please. That's all I'm asking. Like, if you get nothing else from this video, just read a fucking book. Have some self-awareness. Come on now. All right. Bye-bye. Mwah.
All right, Claire, definitely beginning in a journey. She experienced boredom. I didn't hear anything about loneliness. I did hear the reasons of quitting. Instagram isn't fully committed yet. I haven't heard anything about discovering what her needs are, what the standards are, what the boundaries are, what the respect she thinks she deserves, but that's usually within the 1 year mark that you're going to discover. That's actually the hard part. The hardest part is not deleting it. The hard part is coming back to yourself, right? Um, I'm really happy about the story. At first, she looks distraught, but she caught up and got more comfortable halfway to the video, which I'm glad about. I was kind of worried, like, are you okay? But yeah, she's been raw and she's been really honest, so it's all good. Maybe she also had a bad day and she was like, well, um, let me just talk about it. So this is the way I get some relief, right? I want to see another side of her, so I am going to click another video of her and hopefully
I'm
I
kind of
see.
sweaty today because I was just at the pool tanning. But I was tanning and journaling about a subject. that is quite important in my opinion, and it's how to say no to any situation that you need to say no to. Whether you know deep down that you should say no or you want to say no, whatever the case may be. And this is going to apply for small situations. Like the first time I recorded the small example that I gave, it was so dumb. So I'm going to say a different one. But let's pretend that it's an hour before you have to go to work. You're bleeding out. You need tampons. Okay. So you were planning to go.
All right, let's check this one as well.
All throughout high school and up until I was maybe a sophomore in college. So 16 to 20 years old. A while. I was a degenerate. I was constantly drinking, partying, doing nothing productive with my time whatsoever. My emotions were up and down, roller coaster. I had anxiety, awful. I probably was not a pleasant human to be around. I'm surprised people put up with me because I was constantly screaming about something that just didn't even matter or complaining. My relationships were awful. I had a huge friend group of people, and none of them were actually truly my friend. I was in community college, but for no.
Okay, it's pretty clear that I think in the first video we watched, she was really distraught about it. She actually felt that she needed some support for it, and here she is more stable. So maybe she just had like, you know, like a bad day, but I'm happy that she did because it couldn't be more honest. And this is the kind of stories what I'm looking for because there are a lot of creators out there that are going to tell you like how I quit social media, and they're keeping it on the surface. They give you the numbers and why you should, and like they give you one sentence like how you felt, like, well, I also felt this and blah blah blah. Like they're doing it purely for the content, like it's a trend. It ain't a trend. It is about your life, right? Hopefully that makes sense. I'm not necessarily talking about you, Hank. I'm talking to my audience. It is about your life, and that is something you need to remember because life goes fast. I wish I had more time. Just going to be honest, I'm not even old, but I wish I had more time. I wish I had even deleted it sooner. I wish when I deleted it in 2010, I never looked back. But I really like the Facebook groups because I like to go out with my friends, which I do not regret going out with my friends, but I do regret the Facebook groups with going out because you back in the day you could do that without an account, and like your friends will let you know because you are in a group of friends, right? Yeah. Sorry, I got a bit to the rabbit hole when I was saying that, but all right. Thank you, Hank. I highly appreciate your story. Um, Subscribe to Hank if you haven't yet. And yeah, I'm just gonna post this, and I'm not gonna post for a while. So yeah, I made content for at least to the June of 19. And yeah, guys, talk to you later. I mean, I gotta work on my projects, right? Priority.